the problem with the not saying problem because that's a terrible way of saying it, but what a lot of people tend to do, because it's how we were brought up, we feel if we're doing something, we're more productive. So we set our computer and we'll start playing with the website, or we start playing with, our spreadsheets or social media or whatever it might be. And so whatever noise that we can create, if we occupy ourselves by doing that and literally sitting at our desk for 8 hours, 12 hours a day, that we're being productive, but we're not. That's not how the universe works. Absolutely not how the universe works. If you were to spend less time at your computer and do more things of what you absolutely really enjoy doing, hence the reason why, yes, there's an element of truth in relation to finding your passions and finding what is that brings you joy. And the more of those activities that you do, now you're vibrating at a higher frequency. And that higher frequency is aligned to joy, fun, freedom, love, all of those. And now that's what you want more of. And so therefore now you're more aligned. You're going to get more of that into your life.
Welcome to Your Wordless Podcast, the space where we redefine success, self-worth, and transformation. I am Nierras, the soul-centered architect of transformation, helping you unlock your highest potential and build a legacy beyond limits. Now, whether it is self-mastery, career breakthroughs, or wealth creation, this is where change begins. Now let's dive in. Are you stuck in a job that you don't love, feeling like you're meant for more? It is not in your head, it is in your soul. I am Nierras, and I help high achievers like you break free from burnout, rewire self-doubt, and build a life aligned with purpose through coaching, hypnotherapy, and soul activation. Because let's face it, real wealth isn't just about money. It is about aligned and happy heart, mind, and soul. Now, remember, you are worthy and you are enough. Let's transform your life together. Visit www.thenierrasholisticlifestyle.com to begin.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
So, Paul, right off the bat, can you share what was it like growing up as a Paul Davis?
That's a funny question. I was one of the youngest in my family. Okay, let me start. There were 7 sons in all our family. There were no girls at all. So you can imagine what it was like for my mum in particular. She's the only, she was the only female in the whole household. Even the dog was male. So
Okay.
So I was the second youngest, but happened to be the 7th son because we lost one child at birth. So growing up was pretty much middle class. No major issues, nothing really at all. But just didn't like academic. I didn't enjoy school at all. I didn't like going studying and so on. And when I left school, I hadn't got a clue what I wanted to do. But I tried a few different things. I tried studying business commerce, electronic engineering, all that kind of side of things. And then eventually got a job in investment brokers. And that was a kind of a turning point for me, because the finance director at the time recognized that I had an aptitude for numbers. So he encouraged me basically to study accountancy. So I became a management accountant. You're chartered accountant yourself, so you know what it's like. So
yes.
So that was my career, and what I ended up doing was going into companies, helping them to turn around. So companies that were in financial difficulty, helping them to turn around very, very quickly, and then helping them to grow and scale the businesses. And now at this stage, I'm an escaped accountant. I no longer do accounts anymore. When I set up my own business in 2001, it was primarily focused on how could I help small to medium-sized business owners to grow and scale their business. And that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
So we escaped. You and I both. All right. Paul, I mean, obviously my follow-up question would be why, what was that pivotal moment that made you think life purpose? I want to know, I want to find out about it. Truly, I mean, every time, sometimes in life, we have to, have been hit by certain things, certain events that are not so favorable, and that
Yeah,
really could change the whole trajectory of our career and our personal life. So,
totally agree. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
totally agree. For me, it was honestly, um, it goes back as far as early as I can remember, to be quite honest. So I would have been a question that was always in the back of my mind was, what's going to keep me here in this life? Why do I want to be living in this life? And not that there's nothing wrong with, my family upbringing and all that kind of things, but I just looked around with the world and kind of said, this is just a horrible place. So
Mm.
I'm an empathic, so I pick up on other people's feelings and sense their feelings and so on. I'm also highly intuitive, and I bring that into my business as well. So for me, it was a case of I honestly just did not want to be here. And then the pivotal moment. So I had tried everything in terms of seeking purpose.
Mm.
So, which is really what people look for in terms of, if you've got the question in your mind, why would you stay here? It's a case of, yeah, but what's the reason for being here? What's the purpose? What's the meaning? It's looking for those answers to those questions. And I tried what everybody else tries. So, finding what you're passionate about, in recent years, finding your why. There's the Japanese concept in relation to ikigai, which is the interconnecting circles, and again, it's really kind of trying to find out what your passions are and what the world needs and wants and so on. But none of that worked for me, absolutely none of it, because it didn't really give me the specific answer of what I was looking for. And the pivotal moment then was when my first brother passed away in 2011. Um, the question at the time for me in the months that followed was, here's somebody that was trying to hang on to life, because I was there present when he passed away. He was trying to hang on to life. He was age 53. I was 43 at the time. And here was me wanting to check out of life, for want of a better word.
Mm.
So it was kind of, during that period, it was kind of say, okay, look, I'm going to do my own personal research and to try and find, okay, so what's going to give me purpose? What's going to give me meaning? What am I specifically here to do? And even though I had done a huge amount of research up to that, I went deeper. I basically threw my whole self in to doing all the research. So I let go of clients. I narrowed it down to very few number of clients that I really want to be working with, and that afforded me an awful lot more time to pursue a quest for myself. Cut a long story short, I found out what would give me purpose and meaning. I tested it on all my clients that I worked with, and I developed a methodology.
Mm.
And the methodology is discovering your innate genius. And that's made up of a few different elements, but it's all designed to find out what your purpose is, what your true unconscious soul contract, soul level purpose is. And it's
Okay.
using the breadcrumbs or the evidence from our unconscious to find out exactly what our true life purpose is. Developed into methodology,
Mm-hmm.
did it one to one with clients, developed into group programs, and then developed it into an online course. And everybody that went through the online course were getting the results that I wanted to see. And then because it was having a huge success from that perspective, I then turned it into a book. So that was my fourth book, which is called Genius Unlocked. And that was released at the beginning of this year. And now that's making its way around the world in terms of people going through that book and discovering for themselves what their true life purpose is. Because the feedback I was getting from clients and people that had gone through the course was it absolutely deeply resonated with them. It made sense to them in terms of the level of clarity and certainty it gave them of what their true life purpose is. It's not as simple as, some people find their purpose and kind of say, well, I'm here to help people, or I'm here to help people reach their full potential, kind of thing. It's still quite, how would I say, it's still quite broad. Whereas when I bring people through the methodology, it gives them very, very specific information of what they're here to do.
Is this methodology in your book?
In Genius Unlocked, it is, yeah, yeah. So the whole methodology now is converted into a book, and the complete methodology is in that book, and it brings people through step by step, question by question, and by the time they get to the end of the book, they've got all the different elements of what makes up their life purpose. Because for me, there's 4 elements, and they've got all the different elements of what makes up their true life purpose.
So say there is a person tuning to this right now and they say, okay,
Yeah.
Paul, I want to know what, can you share something from the book or the methodology on how I can move the needle? How should I move the needle of my life?
A lot of people will be trying to figure out, okay, so what direction should they go in?
Mm.
What should it do? And they will ask those questions in terms of, they may
Should,
not
could
say,
have, would
okay,
have.
what should, could, would have. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I love those ones. And they may not even say, okay, what's my purpose in life? Some people may not say that, but they will say, look, I'm on a crossroads, or I'm on a hamster wheel. I'm
Mm,
not really enjoying what I'm doing, but what should I do next?
mm-hmm,
What direction should I go in? And all that kind of things. And they will try all the different things. Okay, so finding your passions, finding your why, and all the kinds of things. But again, it still won't give them the answers. So what I do is in the book I break it down, and in an online course I break it down into 4 elements. So let me start with the first element. The first element is your genius drivers. Now I call them your genius. First of all, I call it genius because if you go back to the origin of the word genius, it comes from gignere, and gignere means it's the innate spirit that you're born with. So that's what
mm,
genius is. So what we're finding is the innate spirit that you're born with. So your genius drivers is what actually gives you fulfillment. And the way I explain to clients is, imagine you got 3 buckets sitting in front of you, and each one of those buckets represents a genius driver. Well, now what you're doing throughout your life is trying to fill each one of those buckets. And every single individual that I've come across are not filling those buckets. So they may be filling maybe 2 buckets, but they're not really filling the third one, or they're kind of half full. And that's why now they don't feel fulfilled. So the whole purpose of your genius drivers is to feel fulfilled. Because again, if you can imagine that you're filling your buckets, now you feel fulfilled. So that's your genius drivers. The next thing then is your genius quest. And most people try and figure out, why do I do what I do? And that's the premise of the why question. Why do I
mm,
do what I do? But there's 2 angles to that. One is they're trying to figure it out from a conscious thinking perspective. So they constantly ask themselves the question, why am I doing what I'm doing? And they
mm.
might start off with, look, I'm doing what I'm doing because it pays the bills, or I want to go on holiday, or I want to enjoy the things in
The
life that
finer things
the
in life,
your career is. Yeah.
the nice
So that's,
watches.
and they might go a little bit further and say, well, yeah, I want to help people. So
Yeah.
so now they come to the conclusion of, okay, I'm here to help people, but they've worked it out consciously. And that's the
Mm,
difference. If you want to find out what your unconscious is, your unconscious inspiration. So I use the word inspiration because the origin of the word inspiration comes from inspirare, which is divine guidance. It's a divine nudge that you're given. So everybody will recognize moments of inspiration that they've had because it's uncontrollable. So you'll be sitting in a place, it could be in a park or somewhere in nature, or you could be at an event. It could be a musical event, or it could be a drama. It could be, you could be watching a movie, you could be reading a book, or you could be listening to a piece of music. And all of a sudden, you're overwhelmed with emotion, and a positive emotion. And in that, you're being inspired by what you're observing. That's inspiration. And every single individual experiences that. So what we do is we map out, okay, when have those moments of inspiration happened? And what do they represent? And what's the meaning behind what you're observing? And now we know what your genius inspiration is. And your genius inspiration will always be linked to all your other genius elements. So now we know what your genius inspiration is because that's your unconscious inspiration. You haven't, you absolutely cannot construct inspiration. You can't force the mind to be inspired. You're automatically emotional response to something that's awe inspiring, and that's divine. So that's your genius inspiration. Next is your genius quest. And this is the critical piece for a lot of people, because when people say, okay, what direction should I go in, or what should
yes.
I do with my life, really the question they're trying to find out is what their mission, exactly what are they here to do. Now every single individual has a quest. And again, let me give you the definition of a quest. Quest is a long and arduous journey. Most people think that their purpose is to be full of roses and full of fun and full of life and all kinds of things. Your quest isn't. Your mission in life is not all beds and roses. It's absolutely not. A quest, again, the definition is a long and arduous journey to find a solution or to find an outcome or to find something, an answer to what your quest is. And every single individual is born with a quest. And that quest is with them throughout their whole life that they're trying to fulfill. Now, from an unconscious perspective, you're given nudges in order to try and find out what your quest is and to try and find the answer. So really what people tend to do is, apart from maybe their career or their life or whatever it may be, they'll tend to come across a course or an event and they kind of say, oh, that course looks interesting. Maybe I'll go to that course and see what it'd be like. And unconsciously just question in the back of their mind, say, yeah, I'm hoping it's going to give me a piece of the evidence or a piece of knowledge that's going to give me the answer to my question. Or they may go through and they may have at times in their life where they're quiet, as in they're in silence and they're not being distracted by anything else. And they'll come back to that question and say, I wonder what would X. So they're always, always, always being brought back to a question. And that question is always the same throughout their whole life. Now, what happens is, as you now bring quest into your conscious thinking, like what I've done and what I've done with my clients, and now you can say, oh, that's what my quest is. Now I need to find and purposely find the answer to that quest. Now you can make it as part of your career or part of your business or what it is that you're doing. And you're moving an awful lot quicker along that journey to find the answer to your quest. So that's the mission. That's what you're here for. And once you find more answers for yourself, now you can help others with finding the elements that they need for their quest along their journeys that they're pursuing. So that's your genius quest. And that gives you your specific what. And then the last element is your, what I call your genius role. Now, think of your role as being archetype. So I've identified, in all the years I've been doing this, I've identified 10 different genius roles. And an individual will play one of those roles unconsciously. They don't have to work at it. They don't even have to think about it. They just naturally do that role. So throughout their whole life, they'll carry that role. But however, when they go through a career or a business, they have to wear multiple hats. So as a business owner, like, we may jump from being the marketeer to being the coach to being the person that's taking the bins out of the office.
Admin.
Exactly. So we wear multiple hats and therefore we're not aligned to our genius role. But once you identify what your genius role is, and along with all the other genius elements, the work that I primarily do with clients is putting them on their purpose, making their business, their career, or their life aligned to their genius elements, to their true life purpose. And now that's where they get the fulfillment, the joy, the zest for life, the mission and the purpose and the meaning in their life. They get everything that they've been searching for, along with all the other things that they'll want anyway, in terms of, yeah, the nice cars, the nice jewelry, the nice holidays, the nice houses. They'll get all of that anyway. But now you'll notice a difference between somebody that's absolutely purpose driven in their business versus they're just building a business to make money. Two very, very different things.
Mic drop. I love the part where you said the quest, because I had one person said to me before, Nick, people said the destination is a journey, but truly the journey is the destination. So that is akin to you saying, actually, it is a quest that we're after. So
Yeah.
the whole goal of achieving something, it's what we become when we achieve that goal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the byproducts of that will be all of the nice things. I mean, if you still want them. But truly, who we transform ourselves, who we are from as is to be, is the whole fulfillment. I think it's the satisfaction as to why you do what you do.
Yeah. Everything is actually, and it's a really important point that you make, because when people realize, actually, if I live this life from a stage of being, everything now comes into sync. So people will say, and they would have read books in the lines of, say the law of attraction or that kind of side of things. And they kind of say, well, if I visualize enough, or if I do enough mantras or enough affirmations to myself, I'll get there. But that's not how the law of attraction works. There's
Exactly.
12 universal laws. You got to know
Yes.
all the 12 universal laws in order to make one law, the law of attraction, work.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to use it. I've kind of renamed the law of attraction to the law of alignment, because the
Ooh,
more
I like
aligned that
that.
you
Yeah.
are
Yes.
to what it is that you want, now, now you bring it forward to yourself, and that starts with being what it is that you want to be
Instead of doing. Because we're
instead of
human
doing.
being. We're not human doing. So talk to us, Paul.
Yeah.
I know you're very spiritual. I can feel that there's a vibe here. So can you share with us what was it like for you to integrate feeling into your business? And
Tough.
maybe yeah, yeah. And maybe an event or one success story that is so prominent in your life that is saying, hey, I'm actually in alignment to my purpose right now.
I'll answer the first part of the question, but you
Hmm.
probably have to remind me of the second part there. But
Okay.
anyway, the first part was actually really, really tough, believe it or not. So I grew up in Ireland. I live in Ireland. I work in Ireland. Um, and a lot of, so when you say to somebody, look at, I'm an intuitive, I'm
Yeah.
an empath, um, it's not what they expect from an accountant, let alone a business
Oh yeah.
consultant,
Oh yeah.
and especially in Ireland.
Yeah. Oh
And
really?
especially in Ireland,
They're not very welcoming
no,
of that?
no, 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 no,
Oh, I thought
no, 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 no,
agents are, close off than the
no, no.
Europeans. Okay.
And on top of that, we have the thing what we call Roman Catholic. So
Ooh.
so
Oh yeah. I can
yeah,
resonate with
so
that. Grew up as a
yeah, so
hmm
with a lot of the fallout over the years in terms of Roman Catholic, you wouldn't mention the word spirituality either, even though the two of them are completely different. And people that
Yes.
know spirituality know that it's not about religion, it's not about the church, it's about your own journey for spirituality and what that means. So, but you don't discuss any of those words. So honestly, it was actually really, really tough.
Mm.
But then what I did was I started working with people in other countries. So whether it be the UK, America, the Canada, Australia, and other European countries, and I found there was a great difference between each nationality as such, or
Mhm.
each geographical location. So
Mhm.
I could go to the States and I could have a complete open conversation about spirituality, intuition, and so on, and they would completely get it. Canada, exactly the same. UK, a little bit more open than Ireland, but still quite closed. And
Huh.
then some
Okay.
European countries, yeah, some European countries would be again a little bit more open than the UK. So I that's how I started. And once I got comfortable with having those conversations and being who I truly am, now I brought it back, for one of a better word. Now I brought the focus back to Ireland and said, look at. So in effect, what I was doing, to just think of from this, I set up two websites. I had one website which is purely me,
I knew
which
it.
is
I knew it
literally,
because you
this is
wanna
virtual me.
slow the blow. You wanna.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Typical accountant.
So
So
it
that's
is,
me
yeah.
too.
A/B
That
testing.
yes, yes, yes.
So I had one website which is purely spiritual intuition, and then I had purely focused on life purpose. And the other website was purely business, absolutely purely business. So I tested both, and I really enjoyed the clients that I was getting through on the spiritual side. And
Obviously.
then at some point, yeah, obviously, yeah. And then at some point, honestly, I don't remember what point it was. But then I just merged the two of them. I said, actually, do you know what? I'm sick and tired of having two websites. Let's just
Yes.
bring the two of them together. And that was a number of years ago. And from that point onwards, as clients come to me, it's quite obvious. Well, I think it's quite obvious on my website now that, look, if you look at my about page, you see, okay, there's the spirituality, there's the intuitive side, there's the seventh son of a seventh of a seventh. There's a few different things that are in there that's wouldn't be stereotypical of an accountant or a business consultant. So
Mhm.
people that come to me, they know they're getting something different. And right now at the moment, I talk quite openly, and you kind of, again, being intuitive and being empathic, you'll know if the audience doesn't get you,
Oh yeah.
but they're not my audience then. So therefore, you just move on to a different, you just move on to a different pond.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, you are basically hitting the nail in the head right now. Um, when you said, I think because as empaths, we kind of know all of these are actually innate within us. But at least for me, growing up, that was this norm or belief instilled that knowledge is power, and so I sort of um took that into my, I would say, psyche, that the spiritual things are going to make me money, or I I should repress that side because it's just there. Why I'm saying this is because I too bought into the narrative of, taking off all the boxes, getting the milestones, until it did not work for me anymore. Um, I knew that if I put 2000% in something, into something, I'd get the result. But life isn't always linear like that, and especially if you're not on your path, universe will come and knock you off your course, and hard. You will
Absolutely will.
fall flat on the ground, bruises and everything,
Yeah.
broken bones, broken ribs. But truly, it took me that to happen. Few actually other tower moments to happen, then to actually surrender and say, okay, I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna let you take the reins, and I'm gonna really look within and see what it is that I need to do. But truly, the answers were already there in the first, since we were kids. I think as an empath, Paul, you might have noticed that you were kind of different from at least if any of your family members or your friends. I mean, if some of them are empaths, you would connect differently, but people who are not, you'll feel, I cannot share this part of myself, or I cannot share. Maybe you won't be open to this idea of what I'm about to show you or tell you, right?
Yeah. You know pretty much straight away.
Right? Because energy speaks before we do.
Say that to me again.
Energy speaks before we do. That's why they call aura,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Absolutely does. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely does. Yeah.
And I mean, the moment you start speaking about spirituality, and when I was reading your form, spirituality, and I'm like, my ears perked up. I'm like, okay, this is something interesting. So, okay, Paul, thank you for sharing your story. I love hearing that, and I'm resonating to so many things. Can you share some of the, or maybe one or two success stories with your clients that actually were lost and now they're found? Maybe
There,
I wouldn't say they're found
there's,
right away, because it is a quest until you're 6 feet underground,
yeah, I know.
right?
Yeah, no, I get
Eh,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Oh, yeah, but let me just explain the quest, because what I explain to clients is that imagine that you're on step number 5 and there's 10 steps. So just imagine it steps of stairs. You're on step number 5 and there's people on steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. But equally, there's also people on steps 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
that's right.
There's people that you will learn from that are on steps 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And the information that you'll gain from them will help you on your quest. Okay. But equally, there's people on steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 that will also be able to learn from you because you've figured out some of the pieces of the puzzle. So you're still here to help other people in different ways, but you're still here to help other people. So as you're moving along your quest, you're learning more information, you're experiencing more information, and you're gaining more. You're evolving, you're growing. So therefore, there are people that you can help from to basically fast track their process. But equally, there's also people that are on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that you can also learn from in order to fast track your process. So that's how a quest works. It's not a case that I got to figure out what my quest and go find a solution as quickly as possible in order to live my quest. No. It's the journey. It's absolutely the journey. So that's just on that. But the people that come to mind are honestly, it's actually the ones that still keep in contact. In terms of I'll get a text message or I'll get an email from them or whatever it might be and so on. And some of them are, yeah, look at they would have either planned or had attempted to check out of life. And now they're living their absolute life of their dream. I've got one individual that comes to mind straight away that he was in a career and he absolutely hated the career that he was in, but he had no idea where he was going to go. And went through what I call it your pilot's manual, because if you can see behind me, I'm into
Yeah,
aviation.
yeah. Oh my god.
So
Oh my god.
I call it your
Okay.
I,
There's another resonance there.
so
My
I
dream
call it
is
your
to become
pilot's
a
manual because
pilot.
it's your manual for life.
Oh my god. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
There's another synchronicity there. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So once you've got your pilot's manual, now the decisions come so much easier, because now he was able to define, okay, so here's the kind of career path I want to go on. And I still get messages from him to say, oh my God, this is just amazing. And he's progressing through different levels. So obviously his income's going through the roof anyway. But more importantly, and people measure success in different ways. Now, I've had I still do all the money that I want, the cars, the houses, all that kind of sort of things. They're easy to, they are actually, believe it or not, when you get to a point, they're so much easier to come by, as opposed to trying to work for them. Two
Oh.
completely different things. And it's where manifesting comes into play, or be more aligned to what it is that you want to bring into your life. So they're so much easier to come in line when you're in line with your purpose. Um, but people get to a point whereby they've had all of those and they still can have them. It's not about ruling them out. You still have them, but it's actually the enjoyment that they get out of their life. So the enjoyment that they get from their relationships, their family, even just taking a walk in the park, it means so much more than just taking a walk in the park. The zest that they get out of life is far greater than anything that they would have gotten before. So it depends on how you measure success, or how the listeners measure success. From my perspective, when I get texts and emails from my clients saying the difference that is made is just phenomenal, and they go on to explain what their life is like. They're the success stories for me. Yeah, can it be counted in money and profits and so on? Yeah, look, I've turned every single company around into profits. I have a 100% success rate. So you could say, yeah, I've been successful from that perspective, and the difference is made for the employees and the companies and so on is huge. That to me, yeah, look, it's easy to do from my perspective. You gang, I'm intuitive. I know exactly what needs to be done with the business anyway as soon as I walk into it. But it's a case of I just love people really enjoying life. That's what I love observing.
Okay. I have one question ready, but I want to ask one before that question. You started your business in 2001 and purely consulting, right? And then in 20, I don't know, 20, some years after that, then you started merging spirituality into your business. So what was the transition like from when you started your business into what it is?
From
Yeah.
when I started. Yeah. Yeah, so 2001, I started off doing management accounts for companies
Okay.
and helping them to grow and scale and turn them around. And then that developed and evolved very quickly into consultancy.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only was I recommending or making recommendations based on the figures, I was saying, look, here's what you need to do with your business. Here's what you need to do from a marketing perspective. Here's what you need to do from a people perspective. So I was helping them with strategy and the vision and the development of the business from that side of things. So that was 2001. Um, and this is what tends to happen for an awful lot of people, and I still come across this quite a lot. They have their professional life, which
Mm.
is what people see them as being doing, which is, whether they're the accountant or the architect or the business consultant or whatever it might be and so on. Okay. But then they have their personal life. And I'm not talking about their family and their relationships. I'm talking about what they do outside of the business that's for them. And that's where they pursue their own spiritual journey. So they'll read books or they'll go to events or courses or whatever. There's nothing whatsoever got to do with their professional life, because they're pursuing their own spiritual development and journey for themselves, and in some respects their own genius quest. Um, so people have these two separate lives. In 2012, or well, 2011, I was writing my first book. It took about took about 4 to 5 years to actually write my first book, which was called Evolve. And that was all about aligning your spiritual and your professional self. That's what that book was all about. And it was my introduction of bringing spirituality into the business. And I launched it in January 2012. And that was me kind of saying to the world, okay, here's a part of me that you may not be familiar with. Clients didn't even know before that. And everything that I wrote in the book is purely from, not purely, but it's very, very much spiritual, but also you got the business angle is associated with it as well. But that was the platform for me to say, no, look, there's these two sides now that are merging into one. I hinted at the idea in relation to the intuitive side, the empathic side, and the wanting to check out of life side. So I hinted at those in the first book, but I didn't say completely fully out in it. And then in the years that followed, that's when I started to be a little bit more brave, for one better word, and probably the best way, or I got a bit more courage to say, actually, no, look, this is who I am. And not to say that you either take it or not. It wasn't about that at all. It was just, look, this is, for me to be who I truly am, this is all of me. And if you like it, absolutely brilliant. We can have an amazing time together. And I mean it, really, truly amazing time together. Or if you don't like it, that's okay. Maybe I'm just not for you. And that's okay too.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. I mean, me asking you that is because I'm in the midst of that. Obviously, I started my own business few decades after you started yours. I got pushed by the universe last year, got laid off, and say, okay, Nick, there you go. You gotta do what you gotta do. And so 1 year in, still trying to find my footing, but I feel more aligned than ever. And like you said, it is the journey is the destination. I love that, Paul. So, okay, talk to us. Yeah, now we can get to this question about manifestation. Because your eyes light up every time you
Where
talk. I notice. So please tell us the secret.
well, don't mention that word, because everything that was written in the secret was so wrong.
Is
Um,
that right?
oh God, where do I start? And
From the beginning.
yeah, oh, well, okay. Look at the movie called The Secret and the book called The Secret. Um, it kind of, look, it did a huge amount of good in terms of it got people actually starting on their spiritual journey,
Mm,
and got people to understand, oh, actually, there's more to this life and universe than I first thought. So it did amazing work from that perspective.
mhm,
But it fell short in a lot of other respects then as well.
mm,
Because people realize or thought that, well, if I visualize enough, um, and have enough mantras and affirmations for myself, I'll get to where I want and I'll get all the things that I want. Um, but actually, that's not how it works. Um, so let me try and break down, because there's so many different elements. But let me try and break down a few of them for you. Um, your your podcast is all about self worth, or not all, but a good chunk is about self worth. If a person's self worth is too low, they're not going to manifest anything. So let's just let that drop for a minute. And the reason being is because they feel and they perceive unconsciously that they're not good enough to receive the things that they want. So one of the first protocols is you got to work on your self worth. And every single individual could do with working on their self worth. Like every single individual. Okay, forget about the narcissists of this world, but you've the vast majority of people, let's just call them the average Joe, needs to work on their self worth. Every single individual. Okay, because we've grown up in a society or a life or thing that we've been battered and bruised and so on. So our self worth has been damaged. So we need to start there. That's one thing. And by building our self worth, now unconsciously and subconsciously, we're saying, okay, no, I deserve to receive X, Y, and Z. I deserve to get what it is that I want in life. So again, whether it be the cars, the money, or the relationship, or whatever it be, you've got to start with your self worth. The next thing for me is all about So I actually, believe it or not, do very little visualizing, very, very little, if any at all. So I set my mind, okay, so what is it that I want, or what is it I want to have more in my life now of? And now I literally be that then, meaning I just be what it is. So let me explain that for you. And actually, let me just, okay, let me explain it first. I'll come back to a little story. Um, Somebody will know, I'm trying to find an example for people in my mind. Some people will know when they walk into a room for themselves, when they walk into a room, if they know some of the people in the room and they're in command of that room, or it's a workshop that they're leading, or it's a meeting room that they know the colleagues that are going to be in the room and so on, they'll walk in with a level of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And people could scale nearly that level of confidence on a scale of 1 to 10. So people might say, actually, do you know what? I know these people in the room. I've been here before. It's just going to be, it's our normal weekly meeting. So they walk into that meeting room probably at a level of confidence of about 8, an 8 out of 10, meaning it's good, decent level of confidence. But then ask them, okay, so you're going to go into a networking meeting and you don't know anybody in the room, and all these people here are to network. And then all of a sudden their confidence drops to maybe a 2 or a 3. So that feeling of being confident is very different. So for people that are listening to this, you'll be able to notice the difference between a confidence level of 3 and a confidence level of 8. It's very, very different. So now all the things that you want to have aligned in your life, so whether it be the car, the relationships, the houses, or whatever it be, being having that right now at the moment is very, very different to just visualizing it. It's very, very different. So you got to be what it is that you want. So that's where I prefer to use the word, the law of alignment, as opposed to the law of attraction, because the more aligned that you are to what you want, well, then the more you have. Because let me put it this way: the vast majority of people are trying to attract wealth into their life. And first of all, they'll start off with an outrageous figure. Say, I want to have €1 million or $1 million in my life. And straight away, the subconscious is saying, well, that's BS. And it's thrown away immediately. And no matter how many affirmations that you say to yourself, you're never going to get there. I mean, never going to get there. So what I'm saying is, you've got to be, it's got, the next part of it is, it's got to be believable. So if you truly subconsciously believe, yeah, it's absolutely possible to get $1 million, well, then now you're going to get it. And I use the phrase of, your beliefs create your reality. So let me just sink that one again. Your beliefs create your reality. If you believe you can make a 500,000 or 100,000 or whatever it might be, well, now if you believe it and you be, very different to knowing and believing. It's a very different sense of internal being. It's all internal. So the more you know and believe, I can make a 500,000 or I can make $1 million or whatever it might be, and so now you're going to get it. So it's there's so many moving parts that it's not just, well, you got to do this and then all of a sudden it's going to, no, you've got to know all the other universal laws, the law of duality, the law of reflection, the law of love. You've got to know all those other universal laws before you actually can really make and work with the universe. And working with the universe is, let me explain it this way: you allow the universe to guide you. That's all you need to do, as opposed to trying to push, trying to control, trying to move, because that's what, especially the energy that we're moving into now. It's not going to be about the hustle. It's not going to be about having to push things. It's about actually responding to what the universe is calling you to do. So when people want money or a relationship or a house or a car in their life, it's responding to what the universe is trying to guide them to do. So that's where inspired thoughts come into play. So rather than trying to work out, oh, how am I going to make $1 million? And that's easy to do. And you could say, okay, look at, how many people do I need to serve? What's the price point per the service offering that I'm going to provide, and so on. So you can work it out from an accountant perspective. But that's, yeah, you can do it, but you don't need to, because all of a sudden you can actually work with one client and straight away you can make a 500,000. Like, that's easily done. So it's a case of, if you say what you want, um, and you align with the universe will guide you to get whatever it is that you want. So therefore, now you're not trying to control what the universe is. And the more you fear, worry, or doubt, or all your thoughts come back to, oh, where's the money going to come from? I still don't know where the money is going to come from. I still don't know where the income is going to come from. Really, what you're saying is, I don't believe, I don't trust, I don't know I'm going to get the money, and that's the message you're sending out. So therefore, obviously, you're never going to get it. Your thoughts, your knowing has to be literally, I know that money's going to arrive. I literally know it in my. There's a phrase people will hear is, I know it in my bones. I'm going to get that money. That's a knowing. That's very, very different. And being an intuitive, you'll know the difference between um, when you're really truly attuned with your intuitive side. You'll know the difference between an intuitive inspired flash, an intuitive knowing for a client, versus I just made this up. Two very, very different, because they're very, very different senses, very, very different feelings. It's completely different. So when it comes to bringing everything that you want into your life, it's that knowing of, no, I just know it's going to happen. I just know it's going to work. So it's that's some of the key points that people need to know about whatever it is that they want to manifest in their life. I personally, I don't like using the word manifest, because it's been diluted,
Overuse.
and
Hmm.
people think, look at it, I just think these things, or I'll affirm these things into my life, and it's just going to manifest. But it just doesn't. The more you align to your life, well, then that's what you're going to bring about. For me, manifesting, people think that, well, if I think of something and I say enough affirmations, it's going to appear in my life. Um, that's not how it works. The more you align yourself, your complete being, to what it is that you want in your life, well, then now you're more aligned to bring what it is that you want in your life into reality, and that's the difference.
Regardless of whatever setbacks that you are experiencing at that moment, there's this deep knowing that if you stay on this path, you're gonna get it. It's coming.
Okay, so let me tease that one out a little bit more. Okay,
Okay.
so um, if you want, you can give me an example, and I'll literally drill into that as an example, as a
For
way out.
example, okay, so let's say an entrepreneur waiting for clients to come in, right? But then,
Yeah,
there is this, it is coming, but there are alarms in the personal life of that entrepreneur, saying maybe in relationship or financial
yeah,
resources or family matters, that is trying to drain the energy from the person to stay in the path of where they're at and the knowing. And it's
yeah,
like trying to shake their core. So, mm,
yeah. So everything in your life has to be aligned. Everything. So let me explain that in this respect. Um, so if the business was doing well and you were getting the clients in and the money was flowing, well, then the relationship will be happy. I'm not saying that's the cause, but
that's
I'm saying
true.
everybody would tend to be happy,
That's
because now
true.
there's less stress, there's less worry, there's less fear, there's less concern. So now that's what the life would be like. But if that's what the life would be like, that's what you be now.
Mm.
So you've got to look at, I'm not saying you, and we're using this as an example. The person we need to look at, okay, so the relationships in their life, how could they bring it to a point whereby it's like as if they have the money that they want and they need. When they have the fear and the worry, and a common one, honestly, a common one is always about money. So whereby either they're not getting enough clients in, or they've got a large bill that they need to meet, or whatever, and so on, and they don't know where the money's going to come from. What kicks in for an awful lot of people then is the stress, the fear, the worry, what's going to happen, and the whole conversation they have in their mind is, where's it going to come from? What are we going to do? How are we going to get money in? So it's all about the lack and not having the money. So the quickly way you got to do is you got to remove that out of your head as quickly as is possible. So how you do that is you find and do something else that's completely different. So that could be, you find, what are the activities that you really, really enjoy doing? And that could be, well, I really enjoy going swimming. or I really love DIY, or I love playing with the kids on the floor. So whatever it is that you love doing, that's going to bring you into a higher vibration, because that's ultimately what you're doing. You bring yourself into a higher vibration. You don't. It doesn't have to cost any money. And but then equally, you're also forcing the conscious mind to think of something else. So it's now thinking of, well, I'm playing with the kids on the floor. So it's thinking of something else. So it's no longer thinking about, okay, where's the money going to come from? And
Detach
now,
from the
what
outcome.
exactly? And then once you have the conscious mind thinking of something else completely random, completely differently, now the inspired thoughts can come true. So while you're playing on the floor with the kids, now all of a sudden you get something pops into your mind and said, you know what, you should ring this client, or you should send an email, or you should do this. That's the
Yeah.
inspired thought. That's the universe saying, if you do this, now you're going to get closer to what it is that you want in your life. The problem with the novel, I'm not saying problem because that's a terrible way of saying it, but what a lot of people tend to do, because it's how we were brought up, we we feel if we're doing something, we're more productive. So we set our computer and we'll start playing with the website, or we start playing with, our spreadsheets or social media or whatever it might be. And so whatever noise that we can create, if we occupy ourselves by doing that and literally sitting at our desk for 8 hours, 12 hours a day, that we're being productive, but we're not. That's not how the universe works. Absolutely not how the universe works. If you were to spend less time at your computer and do more things of what you absolutely really enjoy doing. Hence the reason why, yes, there's an element of truth in relation to finding your passions and finding what is that brings you joy. And the more of those activities that you do, now you're vibrating at a higher frequency. And that higher frequency is aligned to joy, fun, freedom, love, all of those. And now that's what you want more of. And so therefore now you're more aligned. You're going to get more of that into your life.
Mm.
I,
Mm.
I, I could talk about this for
Yeah.
I could talk about it for months, honestly. I love talking about it because it's people. It's so simple, but yes, so complicated. But it's an awful lot of the work that I do with clients, and sometimes I'll have to tell clients, look, at you've got to do more self care, and intuitively I'll pick up this person's not doing any self care whatsoever. So I've got to guide them. You've got to do more self care, and then all of a sudden they do their self care, and they've switched off their phone. They've gone somewhere that they can't get in reception or whatever it be, and so on. And then all of a sudden, a new client lands. That's how the universe works.
Yeah. Detaching from the outcome. Mm. Okay. I will take time to ponder about that, Paul. Thank you so much. So,
A lot of it will be in my next book.
yes, yes. Um, so what are you working on currently? What's exciting?
It's my next book, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So I republished 2 books in January this year. I published my third book in what was it? I think May of this year. I think it was. That was Genius Unlocked. That was all about finding your life purpose. And now I'm working on my fourth book, which has been in the writing for I would say a good 6-7 years now at this stage. Because I keep adding to it.
Wow.
So it's quite a lengthy book. But it's trying to break down all the mechanics of how the universe works and
Oh my
how
gosh.
we can live life in a much easier way. So that's literally my project that I'm working on right now at the moment, with the aim of getting that published by the end of this year. So the aim that I started off this year was to have 4 books published, 2 of them obviously republished, but to have the 4 books published by the end of this year. So I'm on target to do it anyway.
Wow. You are on a roll. Would you say there were times that you thought to yourself, it would have been better if I'd known this when I was younger? Were the times?
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, loads of times.
Especially in which area?
Mindset, immediately mindset. Yeah, immediately, without a shadow of a doubt. If I knew then what I know now, oh my God, my not that my life will be. I wouldn't wish my life to be any different.
You'll be
Um,
Elon Musk.
well, I don't know whether I want to go there either, but I think I'd be, yeah, I'd be much further on. Um, yeah, and probably have less um heartache, for one better word. Less stress,
Heartache.
less worry, less of all the negative emotions.
Mm.
If I knew then what I knew now, and it's all pretty much, it's connected to the 12 universal laws, but equally it's also connected to mindset and how powerful our mind actually really truly is.
Paul, I am going to pivot to a self-worth question. Mm. What are some common misconceptions about self-worth? And I think we did talk about this a little bit just now. And how can we debunk them to help others on this journey of self-discovery?
Okay, that's an easy one for me because I do a lot on this. Um, First of all, people mistake self-esteem for self-worth.
Mm.
So we dropped that one. So self-esteem is where you're actually investing in the things that you're doing to please others. You're
Mm.
investing in things that you're doing to
That's deep.
please others. So let me explain that in really practical examples. So we buy the car because we'll think we look better in front of other people. We'll live in a particular house because we feel it will actually increase our status and it will be better for other people to see us living in that house. We'll wear particular clothes because, again, we feel that people will recognize us and will be will like us more if we wear these particular clothes. So we'll do so many things in our life, and even if you take it from a career perspective, there's so many people that will follow their parents' career. So they become the doctor, the lawyer, the accountant, or whatever it be, to follow the path of their parents. So they're doing something in the hope that it's going to please somebody else, but it's all subconscious. The vast majority of that is subconscious. But when you look at it and say, well, am I doing this because I'm actually really doing it for myself? Or am I doing it to try and please others? When you really ask that stark question, now you're differentiate between self-esteem, which is done for other people, and self-worth. What do I want? What do I value? And now you start to do things that are aligned to who you truly are and what you truly want. And by doing that, you're increasing your self-worth, but you're also enjoying who you truly are. Um, Another thing is people judge themselves, and the more you move away from comparative thinking and stop judging yourself and stop judging others, now you're going to increase your self worth. The more you fill your buckets that I referred to earlier on, and fill your genius drivers, the more you fill those buckets, exponentially you'll increase your self worth. So again, there's just so much I could talk on self worth, but there are just a few quick nuggets on what people can do to increase their self worth.
I cannot wait for our second conversation. So I'm going to leave the last two questions that I ask every one of my guests because I want to keep it for that interview. How can people reach out to you if they want to know about your books or start working with you?
The easiest way is just go to my website, which is just the one website now, which is just it's davisbusinessconsultants.com. And on that, yeah, all my books are listed there. So my books, my free resources, ways that people can work with me and all that kind of sort of things. So yeah, davisbusinessconsultants.com is the easiest way.
Awesome. Okay, we've come to the tail end of our first interview today. And before we wrap this up, Paul, any last message to our listeners?
Um okay, wasn't expecting that one, but let me the first thing that comes to mind, honestly, is that we're all going through a transition right now at the moment.
Are you into astrology as well?
I'm not, but I intuitively I know what's
Yes.
we're in major shifts right now at the moment.
Oh, for
I can
sure.
sense the energy.
Mm-hmm.
I can sense what's happening from that perspective. Um, so and what happens with that is that a lot of people may feel lost
Yes.
or worried or concerned or have fear and so on. Um, the more you pursue your spiritual journey, yes, you could, it's easy to find your purpose. From my perspective, that's easy. That I've written a book on it. But the more you actually pursue your spiritual journey and know that everything is perfect, nothing's ever missing, it's always perfect. Um, Reduce your fear, reduce your worry, reduce your concern. From that perspective, you'll get through this. You'll absolutely get through this. Don't let fear, worry, or concern consume you, because once that does, now it's got control over you.
And I really feel like the ones that have been prepared are the ones supposed to lead these people through this transition.
Yeah, yeah,
Like yourself.
yeah.
Somehow I do feel
And
like
you?
myself. Amazing. Thank you for that, Paul. That was an inspiring episode with Paul Davis, everyone. Thank you, Paul, for your authenticity, for showing up and showing out as yourself to the world and to the community around you. For our listeners, this has been your Wordless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. That if you've ever felt wordless, remember you are not alone. Your soul chose to be here to matter. And for that reason alone, you are worthy. A huge thank you to you again, Paul, and to all of you for listening. Until next time, I am Nierras. Keep shining, keep growing, and always remember you are worthy and you are enough. See you in the next episode. Thank you, Paul, and cannot wait for our second interview. Love this episode? Now, transformation doesn't end here. Head on to at holistic.lifestyle_with_Nick. That is on my Instagram. Or head on to my website, www.denignieras.holisticlifestyle.com for more info on my coaching framework, which is the Worthy, Authentic, and Abundant Framework, digital guides, and my upcoming events such as retreats and master classes and workshops. Now, I also do intuitive readings where we get to check on your soul path. And if you're also wanting to check on your energetic alignment, I have done that too. And I offer that kind of services. So, my question to you is, are you ready? Because I am. Let's make your Good afternoon to you, Paul. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Nicolette.
Thank you so much for saying yes to be interviewed today and for agreeing to come on my show. I'd like to introduce myself to you formally and to all of our listeners tuning in for the first time and or returning subscribers. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Wordless. Full stop. Read that again. Full stop. The juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, today we're going to talk about how to discover your true life purpose and why the other methods don't work. Bold assumption, but I would really love to dive deeper into this. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to all of our listeners first, Paul, and then we can get right into the conversation.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. We have Paul Davis here with us. Paul is the founder and lead consultant at Davis Business Consultants with a focus on helping entrepreneurs build a better business and a better life and a better world. With over 23 years of experience in business growth, mindset transformation, human behavior, purpose, personal development, and success coaching, Paul has helped countless entrepreneurs and business owners achieve outstanding results. Now, he is also a 3-time best-selling author, an award-winning business growth consultant and professional speaker, the creator of the Genius Code, a blueprint for personal mastery, and is dedicated to helping individuals discover their innate genius. Welcome to the show, Paul.